Okay, everyone, I wanted to show you this very interesting clip from the All In podcast, which is a business, economics, politics-oriented podcast hosted by several multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire venture capitalists like Chamath Palihapitiya, who was an executive at Facebook, David Sachs, who co-founded PayPal along with Elon Musk, and then Jason Calacanis and David Friedberg, who are venture capitalists themselves. You're about to get an interesting perspective on the World Economic Forum, who I personally regard as having awful ideas and are in part ruining Western civilization. And depending on how personally affected you were by the mishandling of a previous pandemic, you know that it's important to pay attention to these organizations that set policies that actually affect our day-to-day lives. But it's also important to remember not to conflate malevolence and conspiracy with incompetence. And I'm going to show you some clips that reveal, I think, the true nature of the World Economic Forum and how they are less these puppet masters and more a bunch of self-serving, narcissistic grifters. And that explains why they have such bad ideas to begin with.
And that's what I think is the important conversation, is that the World Economic Forum gathering in Davos has recently been cast as this gathering of the global elites, those who are trying to take control and run the world as they see fit. And Sachs, I'd love your point of view on how that transition has happened.
Well, it's a meeting of global business and government leaders. So they are the elites. I mean, you add them all together and they do control a substantial portion of the world economy and most of the nations with the biggest economies. You've got the World Economic Forum promoting ideas like you're going to own nothing in the year 2030 and you're going to be eating insects because no one should be eating meat. So you've got these like wacky, extreme, environmentalist ideas.
Chamath, do you think that the World Economic Forum has kind of transitioned into this kind of neoliberal organization now that's promoting these neoliberal beliefs?
I think it appeals to the insecure overachiever elite.
Yeah.
Nobody building anything really gives a shit about Davos. Nobody is thinking what's going on. Nobody even knows when it happens.
Right.
So who cares about it? People who like status and went to fancy schools and wants to feel like they're in the club and that's how they've made it, is going to this place, which underneath is a membership organization where people pay based on the number of people that get to go. So is it really that important? Substantively, no. But overachieving surplus elites in the West really value the signal that it represents to other overachieving surplus elites in the West. The funniest thing about Davos that I saw was Zero Hedge, which said that the amount of prostitution is at record levels in Davos. And so it just kind of boils down to
That's
what
the
it
kind
is,
of
which is
person
like any other
who goes there.
conference. It just happens to be with more security guards than less security guards.
Okay, here's the funniest part. I think this is the most revealing. If you want to know what the World Economic Forum is really about, this really illuminates it, I think.
And when you actually peel it back, as Chamath correctly pointed out, Davos is a huge grift. They recruited me to be part of their world leaders 15 years ago after I had sold my second company. And I met Klaus, the guy who runs it, at some New York Four Seasons event. And then I got the bill. And to be a world leader was $40,000. And I was like, what, a global future leader? I don't know what that means, but I'm not giving you $40,000.
Sorry, you had to pay?
You had to pay to be a global future leader. And you didn't have to pay for a $6,000 TED ticket at the time. This was 40 large.
It's a grift. Right? It's there's money to be made in having the influence and inviting people to Davos and to feeling special and, allowing the prostitutes to make money there and all that stuff. It's like, this is what needs to be kept in mind when thinking about these people who I disagree with. I'm sure many people watching disagree with the beliefs and ideology of the World Economic Forum. I would hope you do. It's a mistake to give them so much credit for being these ingenious conspiracy theorists with all their master plans, when in reality, there's a lot of self-serving interests that are conflicting and a lot of big business elites, real elites, like, these people on the All In podcast, well, they don't give a shit, and I'm sure a lot of people don't. That's not to say the World Economic Forum doesn't have power and influence, but it's important to keep that in mind. It's actually reassuring to know that, the people that we're up against, so to speak, aren't really that competent at the end of the day.
So I would differentiate between the people who are merely attending, who are paying the $40,000, who are probably a bunch of hangers-on.
It's now $250, by the way.
$250,000.
$250,000. Yeah, anyone willing to pay that is like, totally an insecure, surplus elite.
Loser.
By the way, I just got back from Davos.
Oh, you did? Okay, well, congratulations. Looks good on you, though.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Looks good on you.
Did you spend your own money or your LP's money?
No, I didn't go to Davos.
Oh my lord!
If I meet one
It's a
person
joke.
that went to Davos that spent their own money, it's like,
It's a joke, ladies and gentlemen. So I just wanted to show this video to illustrate some nuance here that I think is reassuring in many ways for the reasons I stated previously. So anyway, until next time, good luck and Godspeed.